The raid on Makin Island happened August 17 and 18, 1942, was an attack by the United States Marine Corps' raiders on Japanese military forces on Makin Island in the Pacific Ocean. The aim was to destroy Imperial Japanese installations, take prisoners, gain intelligence on the Gilbert Islands area, and divert Japanese attention and reinforcements from the Allied landings on Guadalcanal and Tulagi. Only the first of these objectives were achieved, but the raid did boost morale and provide a test for raider tactics. The raid was among the first American offensive ground combat operations of World War II. The force was drawn from the 2nd Raider Battalion and comprised a small battalion command group and two of the battalion's 6 rifle companies. Because of space limitations aboard ship, each company embarked without one of its rifle sections. Battalion headquarters, A Company and 18 men from B Company, totaling 121 troops, were embarked aboard the submarine Argonaut and the remainder of B Company, totaling 90 men, aboard the submarine Nautilus. The Imperial Japanese Navy created the Makin Atoll Garrison in 1942. It was part of the Marshall Islands Garrison, and officially titled the 62nd Garrison Force. At the time of the Makin raid, the total force opposing the American landing consisted of 71 armed personnel of the Japanese seaplane base. In addition, there were also 4 members of the seaplane tender base and 3 members of a meteorological unit. 2 civilian personnel were attached to the Japanese forces as interpreters and civilian administrators. The Marine raiders were launched in LCRL rubber boats powered by small, 6-horsepower outboard motors shortly after midnight on August 17. At 5:13 a.m., Companies A and B of the 2nd Raider Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Carl Evans Carlson, successfully landed on Makin. The landing had been very difficult because of rough seas, high surf, and the failure of many of the outboard motors. Lt. Carl Carlson decided to land all his men on one beach, rather than 2 beaches as originally planned. At 5:15 a.m., Lieutenant Oscar Petrus and a 12-man squad landed on Makin. In the confusion of the landing, they did not get word of Carlson's decision to change plans and to land all the raiders on one beach. Thus, Petrus and his men landed where they originally planned. It turned out to be a fortunate error. Undaunted by the lack of support, Petrus led his men inland. At 7 a.m. with Company A leading, the raiders advanced from the beach across the island to its north shore before attacking southwestward. Strong resistance from Japanese snipers and machine guns stalled the advance and inflicted casualties. The Japanese then launched 2 banzai charges, which were wiped out by the raiders, thus killing most of the Japanese on the island. At 9 a.m., Lieutenant Petrus and his 12 men found themselves behind the Japanese, who were fighting the rest of the raiders to the east. Petrus's unit killed 8 Japanese and the garrison commander, knocked out a machine gun and destroyed the enemy radios but suffered 3 dead and 2 wounded. Failing to contact Carlson, they withdrew to the subs at dusk. As planned, at 1:30 p.m., 12 Japanese planes, including 2 flying boats, arrived over Makin. The flying boats, carrying reinforcements for the Japanese garrison, attempted to land in the lagoon but were met with machine gun, rifle and boys anti-tank rifle fire from the raiders. 1 plane crashed, and the other burst into flames. The remaining planes bombed and strafed but inflicted no American casualties. At 7:30 p.m., the raiders began to withdraw from the island using 18 rubber boats, many of which no longer had working outboard motors. Despite heavy surf, 7 boats with 93 men made it to the subs. The next morning several boatloads of raiders were able to fight the surf and reach the sub, but 72 men, along with just 3 rubber boats, were still on the island. At 11:30 p.m., the attempt by most of the raiders to reach the submarines failed. Despite significant effort, 11 of the 18 boats were unable to breach the unexpectedly strong surf. Having lost most of their weapons and equipment, the exhausted survivors struggled back to the beach to link up with 20 fully armed men, who had been left on the island to cover their withdrawal. An exhausted and dispirited Carlson dispatched a note to the Japanese commander that offered to surrender, but the Japanese messenger was killed by other Marines, who were unaware of Carlson's plan. At 9 a.m. on August 18, the subs sent a rescue boat to stretch rope from the ships to the shore that would allow the remaining raiders' boats to be pulled out to sea. However, just as the operation began, Japanese planes arrived and attacked, sinking the rescue boat and attacking the subs. which were forced to crash dive and wait on the bottom the rest of the day. The subs were undamaged. At 11:08 p.m., having managed to signal the subs to meet as raiders at the entrance to Makin Lagoon, Carlson had a team, led by Lieutenant Charlie Lamb, build a raft made up of 3 rubber boats and 2 native canoes, powered by the 2 remaining outboard motors. Using that raft, 72 exhausted raiders sailed 4 miles from Makin to the mouth of the lagoon, where the subs picked them up. USMC casualties were given as 18 killed in action and 12 missing in action. Of the 12 Marines missing in action, 1 was later identified among the 19 Marine Corps' graves found on Makin Island. Of the remaining 11 Marines missing in action, 9 were inadvertently left behind or returned to the island during the night withdrawal. They were subsequently captured, moved to Kwajalein Atoll, and executed by Japanese forces. Kazuo was subsequently tried and executed by the Allies for the murder of the 9 Marines. The remaining 2 Marines missing in action were not accounted for. Carlson reported that he had personally counted 83 Japanese bodies and estimated that 160 Japanese were killed based on reports from the Makin Island natives with whom he spoke. Additional Japanese personnel may have been killed in the destruction of 2 boats and 2 aircraft. Morrison states that 60 Japanese were killed in the sinking of one of the boats. Japanese records are however more precise, and the entire garrison casualties were 46 killed of all ranks. This was confirmed when supporting Japanese forces returned to the island and found 27 Japanese survivors of the raid. Although the Marine raiders succeeded in killing over half of the Imperial Japanese garrison on the island, the raid failed to meet its other material objectives. No Japanese prisoners were taken, and no meaningful intelligence was collected. Also, no significant Japanese forces were diverted from the Solomon Islands area. In fact, because the vulnerabilities to their garrisons in the Gilbert Islands were highlighted by the raid, the Japanese strengthened their fortifications and defensive preparations on the islands in the Central Pacific. As a result, the objective to dissipate Japanese forces may have had the unintended consequence of causing heavier losses for American forces during the battles of the Gilbert and Marshall Islands campaigns. However, the raid did succeed in its objectives of boosting morale and testing raider tactics. In 2000, 58 years after the raid, the remains of 19 Marines were found on Makin Island through bioarchaeological excavation and recovery, then sent to the Defense Department's Central Identification Laboratory in Hawaii, where they were identified. 6 of these Marines were returned to their families for private burial ceremonies. The remaining 13 were buried with full honors at Arlington National Cemetery after a funeral service at Fort Myer Chapel at which the Marine Commandant General James L. Jones spoke. The remaining 11 Marines have not yet been located. The raid on Makin is featured in Call of Duty, World at War, in the first single-player level Semper Fi, and as a campaign location in the game Medal of Honor, Pacific Assault. W.E.B. Griffin's novel Call to Arms, Book 2 of the Corps series, focuses on the forming of the Marine Raiders and the raid on Makin Island, as told through the novel's protagonist, Lieutenant Kenneth Killer McCoy. The 1943 American propaganda film Gung Ho was loosely based on the raid, and Evans Carlson was employed as a technical advisor during production.
Makin Atoll. Little more than sand, trees, and a small Japanese military base. Miller's reconnaissance team landed there almost a week ago. Since then, we've heard nothing. The waiting's over. We're going in. For all we know, they're already dead. If what little we know about the Japanese is true, it might be better if they are.
You think because you say nothing. You are strong? 貴様は強くない。強情なやつめ。
Don't tell him a fucking thing.
米兵どもはみんなこうなのか? 二人とも殺せ。
Go to hell.
Miller, you're okay. Thank God. We're gonna make them pay for what they've done.
Fuckers! Grab a rifle. We're gonna tear this place apart. Roebuck, signal the strike team. We are go! Boom, boom, boom! Roebuck, right through you two! Take the left!
Miller, we gotta stick together. They're closing in! This way! Keep behind me!
Don't use so much gas to sting! Watch your foot! Hold your position! Well done! Keep moving! Take out that MG! Can't get a clear shot! Shoot through the damn wood! Keep on that MG! Get down! Grenade! That MG now! Don't let him get another crew on it! Good work, Marines. Keep it up. Support squad will hit the beach just up ahead. Let's move!
This place creeps me out.
Tojo's at home in this shit. Eyes peeled.
Shh. What the hell is this? Check it out.
Looks like a temple or some shit.
Hold your ground! Hold your ground!
Support squad should be there any minute now.
Pick up the pace, people.
Shit, they've been spotted.
down on the beach!
Japanese infantry in the river, moving in from the west.
Roma, MG on the right. The other one's mine. Go!
Take out that spotlight. Good shooting.
Listen up. I want to get through the rest of this quick and clean. You hear me? Quick and clean. Stay sharp. What the hell?
Who took these guys out?
Radio command. Find out if another unit came in ahead of us.
Ambush!
Boom! Boom! Compound's just ahead. Keep moving. Robot, start the truck! Miller, use your knife and put a hole in that barrel. Go, go, go! Hudson squad's landing over there on the right!
Detonation. We need to get to the extraction point ASAP. Sullivan, get the Jerry rig the charges. Charges set. We're leaving now. Miller, you're with me.
I got you. Okay, we're leaving!
Come on!
Everyone, keep down!
You're gonna be okay, just hang in there.
Where's the fireworks?
Tell me those charges weren't duds.
They better not be.